You know, I've been holding out on this series for a long time now, and I really don't know why. I've talked about Ratchet, Sly, Crash, and Spyro. Maybe I should talk about Jak and Daxter, but I can't help but feel like I'll make people mad. Screw it. You guys really want to see me talk about these games, don't you? Alright, I mean, it's been a long time coming and we're getting close to the holiday season, so why not start now? Jak and Daxter is a bit of an interesting series. It seems basically dead at this point, and there are currently only 6 games in the series, yet only half of them are mainline entries, while the others are spin-offs. And in this marathon, I'll be talking about all of them. Well, all of them except for Daxter. I do own it, but my PSP doesn't work, and I wouldn't know how to record from one in the first place, so there's that. Maybe some other day. Alright, so that's 5 games over the course of a few videos with probably a lot of yelling on my part. I'm telling you guys, you're gonna get pretty mad, but you wanted it, so here you go. Welcome to the Jak and Daxter Marathon. The year is 1996. Sony's PlayStation has been in the gaming world for around a year outside of Japan at this point, and everyone was now introduced to what would be the console's mascot, Crash Bandicoot, thanks to the up-and-coming team, Naughty Dog. The team would go on to make a great trilogy of platformers and even a pretty fantastic kart racer. Not Crash Bash though, that game really wasn't all that good, but it wasn't done by Naughty Dog, so hey, doesn't count. The 4 games would sell millions, and combined with Insomniac's Spyro the Dragon, the PlayStation had its very own mascots like Nintendo's Mario and Sega's Sonic. Fast forward to the year 2000, it's time for Sony to make a jump to a new generation with the PlayStation 2. But now, Naughty Dog no longer had the rights to Crash Bandicoot, so other companies were making those games. With questionable results, I'll just say, but we'll get to those another time. But of course, they were successful during the PS1 days, so you know Naughty Dog is working on something new for the PS2. Lo and behold, Jak and Daxter. And really, the funny thing about this whole scenario is that you can replace everything with Insomniac Games, Spyro the Dragon, and Ratchet & Clank, and it is literally the same exact story. And I mean, it's even down to the point where both Crash and Spyro died a slow and painful death after this, but you know, that's besides the point. Skylanders does not count, shut up. But alright, with the history lesson out of the way, let's finally see what Naughty Dog's new world has to offer us. The story begins with Jak and Daxter on a speedboat headed towards Misty Island, a dangerous place they were warned to not go to by the Elder Samos. And yeah, that is actually Daxter, more on that in a sec. Upon arriving there, they noticed a large group of lurkers being rallied up by 2 dark figures, Gal and Maya, to search for artifacts and eco by any means necessary. You know, it sounds pretty evil, we should probably go, but yeah, you know what, screw that, let's explore anyway. One of the lurkers notices the intruders and attempts to stop them, but in that little scuffle, Jak accidentally knocks Daxter into this big well of dark eco and pops back out as an Otzel. Actually, while I was looking up details for this video, I realized that it's actually a play on the words otter and weasel. So, basically he turned into a Pokemon, which is not really that bad of a deal. They eventually returned to Sandover Village to tell Samos of what happened and... oh.
Hello,
This is Kira, Samos' daughter and resident love interest. How you doing?
Rule number 1, I don't date animals.
You don't know what you're missing.
Samos and Kira now tell both Jak and Daxter to explore the village, help as many people as possible, and adventure through unexplored areas to find power cells, this game's plot MacGuffins, to progress onward to Rock Village, where you then basically do the same exact thing until you get to Volcanic Crater, to which you then do the same exact thing until you get to Gal and Maya, stop their plans to use Dark Eco to take over the world, and save the day. It's kind of a shame too, because Gal is actually the only one who can return Daxter to his original form. You poor furry bastard.
I'm doomed.
It's a simple story, and there are little cutscenes that happen when you get to a new area, but otherwise it's really just a means to collect this game's power stars, puzzle pieces, power cells, etc, etc. Now, you know how Crash Bandicoot was sort of like a corridor 3D platformer where each level was basically a straight line to the finish? Ha! Jak and Daxter, on the other hand, may just well be the most open-world platformer to ever exist. The game is sort of structured like Banjo-Kazooie. You get thrown into a level with little to no direction, and there's a handful of things to do that give you rewards, but it's up to you to find out where all these things are. The main difference, though, is that traveling to a new area is completely seamless with no loading times, aside from traveling off to far-off areas like returning to Misty Island. Doesn't really seem like the most intelligent idea to return there, but I digress. This is one of, if not the major thing that separates this first game with the rest of the genre, and on a technical level, it is pretty impressive. None of those pesky loading times that show up in like what, every other game ever? And not only that, but sometimes something that you do in a level, like opening up an eco vent, will affect some part of another area. I take it back, not so much Banjo-Kazooie, but rather Banjo-Tooie, and I like that. Jak himself is actually pretty loaded in his arsenal too. He can double jump, roll into a long jump, perform a sliding punch which doubles as an uppercut and a downward slam, and a spin kick. Just couldn't let the past die, now could you, Naughty Dog? You also pretty frequently get to use some eco powers. Green gives you health, red gives you extra strength, yellow gives you fireballs to throw, and blue gives you super speed and the ability to open up a lot of locked stuff. But not only that, a handful of levels give you vehicles to ride too, like the Speedy Zoomer that is a ton of fun to use in every level that it's in, and a bird-like thing called a Flut, which you actually got to witness the birth of earlier in the game. Look at that world continuity, I love it.
No!
Now as for Daxter, well, he does nothing. There is literally not a single part of the entire adventure where he becomes a gameplay element. He's pretty much there for comic relief and cutscenes to make up for the fact that Jak is, for some unexplained reason, incapable of talking, and to spout out a quick line after seeing his best friend die right in front of him.
Say goodnight, Jak.
You know, he's a bit of a douchebag, and he's not wearing any pants, but I think I like this guy. And naturally, with each power cell comes a mission of some sorts to accompany it. You got platforming challenges, a few special battles, minigames, 7 hidden scout flies to find in each level, and like seriously, half the goddamn population is holding some of them because they need orbs for the most trivial nonsense. Like the mayor needing orbs to help fund his re-election campaign. You sleazy politicians with your precursor orbs and your wind turbines, you're all the same. There are even these Oracle soda machines that basically do the same exact thing. Just pop in the orbs required, usually priced higher than normal, and boop, out comes a power cell. Do these people not realize that I'm on their side? Guys, I'm trying to save the world here, and you have the thing that I need to help me out. Literally, the last possible thing I care about right now is how you lost your pants on a bet and how you have low self-esteem issues.
Have you tried attacking him with your melodrama? Cause it's killing me.
Why do I have to negotiate 4 power cells from these miners? And more importantly, why do they literally say the same exact thing for the first 3 encounters? You know what, screw this, I got more important matters to attend to. I'm a grown man with an oddle adventuring to save the world. I can't waste my time with you fools. Now if you excuse me. Alright, in all seriousness, Jak and Daxter really doesn't do anything wrong at all as a platformer. Each of the 3 hub worlds has a handful of levels scattered around and they're all pretty different from one another, offering up varied locations and entirely different sets of challenges. There's a zoomer course over a sea of lava, a technology-filled underwater city, which is the best level in the game, an adventure through a murky swamp, a cave filled with spiders. Oh my god, so many spiders! Yeah, it's a decent amount of variety. And while I do find interacting with most of these characters to be as engaging as trying to discuss current events with a tape dispenser, the act of doing the thing the person asks of you is what's important, and it's mostly a good time throughout the whole adventure. Except for all that precursor orb nonsense. I did run into a few annoyances near the end of the game though, specifically in Snowy Mountain, where I can't help but feel like I got hit way more times than I should have.
Step 1, stay alive. Step 2, think about not doing something like that again.
But like I said earlier, the open world is where the game shines, not just in gameplay, but visually too. The areas are just so immersive and pretty to look at, and even the simple act of punching a seagull because it ate one of your power cells really makes you feel like you're part of Sandover Village. I guess. There's even a pretty awesome day-night system like Ocarina of Time, but since there's no loading between most of the levels, the sky just changes organically as you play, so if beating up a seagull isn't your thing, this should definitely have you immersed. Don't be surprised if you just find yourself standing back and taking in the sights, because that is incredibly easy to do. The character models, on the other hand, are incredibly dated, especially in comparison to the sequels, but in the big picture, the game is pretty beautiful.
What?
Although there really isn't much in the way of music. It's not a bad soundtrack, but it's mostly ambiance with no melody, which it fits, but I probably couldn't remember a single track in the game to save my life.
Well, better you than me.
You make it to Maya's Citadel, rescue all of the other sages who are actually kidnapped because... Take down the giant precursor robot, use the power of the only time it's in the game, Light Eco, to turn into Light Jak to seal the evildoers, get to witness Daxter be the ultimate jerk and deny Jak of a kiss, which is just cruel, and that ends Jak and Daxter the Precursor Legacy. There's even a small cutscene teasing some more story if you get all the precursor orbs, but we'll get to that next time. So all in all, Jak and Daxter is a pretty great platformer. Playing this game for the first time is honestly kind of a magical platforming experience. It's not often, if ever, you get to experience an open world platformer like this, especially without the desire to strangle oneself like with Grunty's Industries and Banjo-Tooie. Oh man, it's like I'm getting war flashbacks. But now, that being said, I really cannot help but put this below a lot of other platformers. While it is a good game, I kind of feel like if Daxter wasn't comic relief and there were more loading times, this would just be a solid platformer and not much more. Ratchet & Clank, Sly Cooper, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, Ape Escape, they may not all be as structurally solid of a pure platforming experience as the first Jak and Daxter overall, but the worlds that you play in and the characters that you interact with are a lot more engaging to me. Sometimes, I don't know, running around these big landscapes just collecting stuff at random, it can honestly be kinda boring at times, but maybe that's just me. To be fair, Jak did release earlier than a lot of those other games, but as someone who played those games first, I can't help but feel like the world here is just a bit lacking. I mean, hell, even the PlayStation 2 era Spyro games have more interesting worlds. Alright, sorry, I can't even say that with a straight face. And alright, with all that being said, that does it for the very first Jak and Daxter, and you know what? They did a really good job introducing players to a new universe, and it is a must-play for platformer fans. I can also appreciate the fact that Naughty Dog managed to create a new universe without having the first game being insanely difficult like Crash Bandicoot. You want to talk about having war flashbacks? Oh, but don't worry, they went ahead and left the difficulty for the sequel. Whoo boy, so next time in the Jak and Daxter Marathon, I'm going to be talking about Jak 2. I'm gonna die. Hey there everyone, I want to thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to click that subscribe button down there and you will get to see when I talk about Jak 2 the minute it goes online, because trust me, it's gonna be a bit of a doozy, I promise you that. And if you want to keep up to date with the status of videos or just see what I have to talk about, be sure to follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook and I will tell you everything that comes out of my dumb old noggin. I also recently talked about some Super Smash Bros. In my last 2 episodes, so if you missed those, click the annotation right there. You may enjoy them. I found them to be quite smashing, if I do say so myself. And now with this post-video speech out of the way, I'm gonna go back and play more Jak 2. Wish me luck.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!